Welcome everybody to Live Guitar Repair. It is Thursday, right?
Yeah.
We've got not
It's
Danny.
Thursday. Not Danny again.
Not Danny again. I'm
2 weeks in a row.
I'm back finally.
Disappointment.
Danny is doing his birdhouse thing in War Eagle, Arkansas.
Oh, really?
I believe so. I might not shouldn't maybe I shouldn't share that, but if you happen to be watching this while at War Eagle, Arkansas, stop by Danny's booth.
Yeah, if you want a birdhouse.
Yeah, my mom's down there right now. But, we got Ryan here. We got Jordan here.
Hello.
Yo.
And what do we got on the bench today?
All right, so today we have PRS S2 McCarty. And these things are pretty awesome. I know it's another PRS. I had another one last week. But this one's core model. Core models are cool. Really like the pickups on it. And speaking of pickups, I plugged it in. I found out that this neck pickup is not responding. And I will kind of try to demonstrate
Is that the customer was saying?
what's going on. I plugged it in previously, so I haven't gone through like the entire diagnosis, but I just wanted to confirm that that issue was there. So I got the toggle switch in the bridge position, and plays, sounds just like it's supposed to. Middle position, sounds very similar to the bridge position, almost like it's not getting a response from this guy.
And now you just got acoustic.
Acoustic, almost that piezo tone that everybody's after. Yeah. Just mic up and acoustic electric.
All right. So what's your first step on this?
My first step, I know people like to usually crack out the multimeter. I like to dive straight into it to see if there's any obvious issue first. And then if it requires any further investigation, then I'll get the multimeter and see what's going on. So first, I'm gonna get this control cavity off.
All right. Like always, if you have any questions for any of us here, throw them into the chat, and we will chat it up and answer as best as we can. I guess the easiest probably thing to check is just if like one of the wires came loose on the pod, I guess.
Yeah, that would be the easy thing. There are significantly harder electric issues to diagnose, and a lot of people, when they first see this, they're going to get a little overwhelmed. If you've never taken your guitar apart before, that can be a lot. But it's actually wired pretty cleanly, with some nice big vintage pots with some really big contact points, and it looks like a lot of the solder, like the solder joints, are also pretty clean too, which don't run into all the time.
And I know also for those more modern pickups, it gets a little bit more confusing since those are like 4-wire ones, right? Instead of like a 1 humbucker.
And these have like coil splitters on them, and that's where things can get pretty confusing as well. So you can see, these pots right down here, they have this like giant stack box on the bottom of it, and that's so you can basically pull this potentiometer right here, this little knob, and it will switch in between different sets of terminals to give you different tones. Pretty cool, pretty convenient. Yeah, it features on a lot of modern guitars, but that's really interesting because I think these are single conductor pickups. So I don't know exactly how they accomplish that. It's pretty
I know
sweet.
they do it a different way than most people do.
Yeah, PRS tends to, I think. They have a lot of their own kind of innovations on household products. So we're struggling with the neck pickup here, so I'm just going to kind of work around this potentiometer. That's where a lot of the neck pickup signal is coming through. And I'm just going to take like a screwdriver, poke around it a little bit, see if anything's loose. So it's like we're getting good solid contact with the grounds. None of those are moving around. None of the solder joints look cold, and I don't have like a good example of what a cold solder joint looks like. But if it looks kind of like foggy and almost like corroded, in a sense, like maybe like frosty would be another way to put it, that's a good indicator that you have a cold solder joint. They tend to get like a lot more brittle, and they're far less conductive than like a really solid solder joint that's kind of chrome and polished like these. And if I end up soldering, then I'll be able to show you what good soldering looks like, hopefully. So just kind of moving around these wires, nothing's really coming loose. Oh, with the exception of this guy.
No, we already found it?
Yeah, already found it. So it looks like this is the hot wire for the pickup itself. So that would be a very like obvious go-to. So this is like a lead wire that's coming straight from the neck pickup. You see like it has kind of a braided shield down here, and that's to ground the pickup. This is the hot wire that actually carries your signal. And it looks like it's completely disconnected from that terminal, which is actually giving me quite a bit of output right there.
So this is the real Occam's razor situation where it was the obvious thing went wrong. Just something got knocked loose.
Yep, something got knocked loose. Either sometimes that can happen if you have a loose potentiometer and people are trying to tighten it one way or the other. If that potentiometer rotates in place, it's easy for these wires to get taut and then kind of remove themselves from what may have been like a brittle solder joint. So that's pretty easy. What we're going to do is we're going to heat up the soldering iron over here, reflow some solder to tin the lead, and then flow it back into this terminal along with this capacitor right here. And then we should be in good shape, granted that the neck pickup is functional. All right, so now we get the awe-inspiring moment that the soldering iron is heating up. There's a lot going on. Just cue the Jeopardy music.
Out of curiosity, what do you heat the soldering iron up to? I always have trouble with this.
Yeah, so right now I think it's getting around to like 650. You don't really want it too hot, but hot enough to make quick work of things, but not hot enough where you would burn some like the circuitry that's going on.
Or burn the solder.
Yeah, because if you burn the solder, then you're definitely not going to get good joints.
Then it starts like splattering everywhere.
Yeah, and then you get solder burns. And back in my younger days of doing soldering for the first time with like a craft store soldering iron, I've definitely burnt myself quite a few times. I have little scars on my hands. But that's a good point to bring up as well, is that I'm using like a Weller soldering station. These things are not cheap.
No.
They're not cheap at all. But it's really worth your investment to get like really consistent heat and consistent power to your soldering iron. Because with like craft store soldering irons or something that's maybe set at a specific temperature, they don't always work that well. The tips tend to be really cheap too. They're not nearly as conductive, and like long exposure on some of these parts to those heating elements can really damage some of the interiors. So this, while it's incredibly hot, right now it's sitting at 725. While it's incredibly hot, it's really consistent all around the tip. Like regardless of which point I hit on that tip, it's going to be about 725, and it'll melt that solder super easily. So
Yeah,
before we do anything,
I've got a cheapo one at home that I occasionally have to use for stuff, and every time I do it, I'm just like complain about it. But I'm like, I never feel like I use it enough.
Yeah.
Warrant spending $100 on a soldering iron.
So what we're going to do is I'm first going to tin the tip of the soldering iron. This is a good thing to kind of maximize your efficiency on the tip to make sure that it's like melting solder really consistently. It also keeps your tip clean, and if you don't keep the tip clean, then it'll oxidize and corrode, and it'll get brittle and not work nearly as well. Tips are easy to replace, but we want to conserve materials when possible. So make sure I'm not doing this over the delicate finish. But right now I'm just like taking some of the solder from this spool right here, and I'm placing it directly on the solder tip. And kind of just getting good exposure all around. Don't need too much. Kind of wait for it to coat that tip. And then I have a little sponge that's on this like soldering iron stand right here, and I just kind of clean off the tip of it, and it should leave kind of like a silver coating when it's done. So there it just kind of looks like a chisel point like pen or something like that. All right, now comes the fun part. We're going to get in this super tight cavity, try to kind of finagle this. And I don't think I really need to reflow the solder onto the lead itself, because there's a giant pool of solder already on that terminal of the potentiometer. So I'm going to press it onto that lug, wait for it to heat up, wait for that solder to break.
I love how it's also just starting to sound like we're playing Fallout too.
Yeah.
Little crackles.
All right, I'm going to flow a little bit of solder onto this left side over here.
I'm loving the camera work, Jordan.
Thanks. I don't know if it helps at all.
Also, it's nice to use like a ventilator or some kind of overhead unit that,
You don't like
that we
this?
don't have, so you don't breathe in solder fumes and rosin and all those kind of fun things. But we live dangerously. You're at Palin, I guess.
I mean, you're taking after Danny.
Yeah, I live dangerously. So now, see if we got signal. Easy enough, sounds like a neck pickup. And then I'll just kind of run through an electronics test, make sure everything's working the way it's supposed to. There we go.
Cool.
Would you say it's screaming?
I would say it's screaming.
I mean, if we turned it up,
I mean, not really on the neck pickup, but on the bridge pickup, yeah, you can get some bite there. But sure, yeah, I guess that's like kind of an intro into soldering and looking at electronics inside of your guitar.
I'm just used to Danny talking forever and
I
taking forever
know.
to fix stuff. Like, do you have anything else we have to do?
See what else do we talk about?
Do you have any other one you want to throw on the bench real quick?
Sure. I guess a note that I kind of hit last week that may be worth reiterating again is pickup heights. Pickup heights greatly affect your tone and how close they are to the string. So I usually try to offset kind of where my pickup height is on the bass end versus the treble end because the strings are thinner. They tend to be at different heights. So I usually press around the last fret and I'll set like this bass end around like 6/64ths and this treble end to around 4/64ths. I'm pretty sure it's the Seymour Duncan recommendation, but that's just to make sure that you get kind of even output across all the strings. Because if you hike up one side against the other, then you can get uneven output as you're playing up and down the fretboard, and we don't want any of that.
I don't know, one I think common misconception is I think people think they have to put their pickup way too close to their string.
No. It can actually, rumor has it, that the magnetic pull pieces, if they're too close to your string, they can actually like pull your string out of tune. So if you're having like some intonation issues just around like specific frets and not really consistently up the fretboard, then it could be your pickups. So depending on like the output and the strength of the magnets that you're using, if you're using something a little more modern or high output, then it could be affecting like the magnetic pull on your strings.
And can it also affect it just not letting the string vibrate to its fullest extent if it's like too close and too heavy?
Yeah, it can choke out your sustain. So I know that a lot of like the higher output guys, the guys that use high gain, like really want to raise their pickups closer to the strings, but you might get more of that natural resonance if you drop it a little bit. A lot of like the vintage players and blues guys, their pickups tend to be dropped incredibly, which is, I don't know. I like some kind of like play in between because I play all those different genres. But yeah, I think that'll probably have it for this guy.
Ooh, do we have a comment?
Yeah. Nice guitar.
Nice guitar. It is nice
Yeah, I
guitar.
agree. Yeah.
I love the McCartys. They're like one of my favorites of the PRS stuff,
Yeah. Pretty unique, not too Les Pauly or too much of anything else.
Well, I mean, I think
it was
Gibson has something
uniquely
to say about
PRS.
that, but I think they lost that lawsuit, so just being said.
Yeah, lots of lawsuits and copyright pending on these guitars.
Especially when you get to the single cut version of that one.
Yeah. All right, well, I can see if we have anything else that we can look at.
Cool.
Yeah.
With the screws and such.
Let's see.
Oh, I might want to put the back plate on it.
Yeah.
I can do that later.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Do you have anything else fun? I hear the velvety tones of Mike Henderson in the back.
Oh, yeah. Let's see, I don't have the tuner to replace that. Those are all finish issues. See, I guess you can look at this. This is a bass that I've been working on kind of in my free time during the week. It had some deep grooves here in the back. I think somebody was just wearing a belt buckle and it was just kind of scratching away at it. And it really sucks. But thankfully, on these like Mexican fenders, the finish is really thick. So usually you can kind of wet sand it down and buff out some of the scratches. I just haven't gotten to a lot of those finishing steps yet. But I can walk through what that process would look like if that's of interest to people.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Johnny said good flame without being over the top on the.
Yeah, that definitely on some of his PRSs, like they definitely love their flame, and I appreciate it. But also, that might be the guitar for some guys. That's probably not the guitar for me. I don't know about for y'all, but It's weird. Some things can be like too nice and too beautiful.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, definitely.
yeah. That's a good way to say it.
Let's see. I'm just gonna take some polish. Polish is good. Some polish, get some microfibers, maybe some glass cleaner to buff some things out.
We'll do some Mr. Miyagi, wax on, wax off.
Yeah, yeah. Now, I'd love to say that this is a really interesting process. It's not, because it takes so much patience. I already got the majority of the grooves out, but there's a lot of like kind of micro scratches from sandpaper, from wet sanding. But I'll walk through what that process would look like. Say that there was like a big scratch right here. I would take some 600 grit sandpaper. That's about as like heavy as I go there, and I would spray down the area where the scratch would be. This hypothetical scratch right here.
Now, Ryan,
Yeah.
why wouldn't you go heavier?
Why wouldn't I go heavier? Well, you like create like some divots and some inconsistencies in the finish. You don't want there to be a dip in the finish. On
Start
the guitar.
heavy and go fine.
So start slightly heavy. You kind of build it back up. The fun thing about sandpaper is you're really only like trying to get that scratch or that groove out with your first grit, and then the following grits, the only work that you're trying to do is to remove the scratches that you made to get the other scratch out. So it seems a little backwards, but it works.
And that
So-
is your fun fact about sandpaper for today.
Yeah. Fact about polishing, finishing things. So you just take this and say, I don't know, this is not a recommended thing to do, but I'm working on it anyways. So wow, now we got a nice little scratch right there. This little white scratch, if you can see that on the camera. Yeah.
Oh, we saw you do that, and you have to buy it now.
Yeah, well, I already bought one Meteor from here, so I'm not gonna buy the base.
I always thought those were kind of a fun model, but they never kind of caught on.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I just don't think they sold that well, unfortunately.
No, they did not.
So now I'm just kind of using some standard like StuMac Clean and Shine. It's like a standard like high gloss like non-abrasive cleaner. You can also just use water. But I'm doing that, and then I'm sanding in a circular motion just around that scratch.
Hey, Mike.
And depending on how deep that scratch is, don't need to sand it for too long. And you probably don't want to because you'll go too deep.
I hope the sound is getting picked up because this is kind of
Sounds nice.
It's a great ASMR. Kind
Oh yeah,
of
little ASMR wet
yeah,
sanding.
we just need that. We just need those lo-fi beats underneath it. Just enough.
Yeah. So I usually wait until like I'm kind of running out of product, and then I'll just do kind of a spot check. So I'll take one of these microfibers, just kind of wipe it clean. You kind of have to wait for it to dry off, and then, whoa! All right, so that scratch is still there. So I was actually a little off with where I estimated that it was. But you can see kind of like the circular pattern I was working in. It's like super matte right there. But we're gonna keep going until we get that scratch out.
Like I say, this is like great for like you said for Mexican fenders. With anything with a thick, this is poly finish.
Yeah, this is poly.
So poly is pretty forgiving. Like definitely don't do this on a satin, folks. No satin finishes.
No, you're not wet sanding on a satin finish like that. Yeah.
You're turning the paint is off it by this point on
Yep.
it. And then also like, does this work on nitro? Or you gotta be careful.
Delicately,
Delicately on
very
nitro?
delicately. A lot of like the scratches on a nitro finish, taking it to a buffing wheel will heat it up enough to like sometimes like just settle the finish. So sometimes all you have to do is take it to a buffing wheel. But these deep grooves, sometimes you can do like what we call a spot fill. So you would take some super glue, which I know it's dangerous and scary, but you take some super glue, you kind of fill in the area with the crack, which kind of like seals over it and fills in the kind of colored scratch that's in there. You take some accelerator, boost it, and once it hardens, you take a razor blade and kind of just like trim it and cut that super glue back. And then it would be roughly a similar process to what this is. You may have to like respray some of the nitro in case you go too thin. But that's always the danger when you're working with finishes.
It's one of the weird things I remember finding out is just with watching Danny work is how much he uses super glue.
You can use super glue to patch up anything. Let's see. So the groove is significantly smaller, but we're still going to go right back over it.
Johnny said it will look new. Thank God. I hate road worn look.
Well, yeah, Fender Mexico has really gotten into the road worn look recently.
I think they were. I don't know if they still do those anymore.
Yeah, I know at least as of like like 2 years ago, there were tons of like new old stock like road worn models that were coming out. I can't think of some of the signature models.
We have a used one back there that just came in from a couple of years ago, like a purple 50s Telly. But yeah, I don't think we've gotten a new road worn one in a while. I forget what the one we did get was. That J Mascus Telly, the top loader like blue one. If that was a little road worn. But are these all these Paisley ones we had? I think.
Oh, really?
Paisley
Oh,
ones.
the Brad Paisley stuff.
Yeah, I think we had a couple of those.
Yeah, I think like the custom shop relic jobs tend to be done well.
Yes.
I have seen some more inconsistent custom shop relic jobs, but when they're done well, they're really done well.
Yeah.
I really like the seafoam guitars where it's kind of like rubbed off in the shoulder and it's like underneath the seafoam coat. There's a sunburst finish.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love those.
Because I think back in the day, they would just like, sometimes if they needed a custom color guitar, they'd just take one that was none and just spray over it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, there's a story how like Brad Paisley got to one of like his main guitars.
Yeah, it was.
Was he at like Chicago Music Exchange?
I think he was at CME and he found
Yeah.
his black Telly. Then he wanted to take an old one and make it Paisley. And then they start taking it off and realize, oh, this used to be a Paisley.
Like it used to be a Paisley guitar that they
Yeah.
just like jerry canned black.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know if the factory did it or somebody just took some paint to it. Probably that was probably like, oh, I don't want this pink Paisley guitar. I want a black guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I don't like a Brad Paisley. He found the exact guitar he wanted.
Yeah, that's insane. And I mean, I can understand where somebody would want a black guitar versus a pink guitar, but I love pink guitars. Like my main guitar is a candy pink Charvel. But so we can see that scratch is no more. At least like the groove that I put in there. There's some kind of like micro scratches from the sandpaper. But now comes the really fun part. We're gonna do it again. We're gonna step up the grit. So I stepped up from like 600 to 1,000. Then we're just gonna hit that area with some more polish and then go back over it again. And you generally want to go wider than what you did the first time. So you basically like catch all of those scratches that you initially made. So you kind of just like keep expanding your area as you're going up in grit.
I really hope that sound is getting picked up.
I'm sure it is. Wow. I'm gonna fall asleep right here.
Meteora bass.
Wet sand Meteora. All right, go swing it back, and already it's starting to match a lot more of the guitar. So we used to see a giant circle in the middle where it was like worn matte, and now if I'm looking at the reflection in the light, like there's still some imperfections there, but we can definitely buff that back out, especially when we move up to 2,000. But I'll probably go over it with 1,000 again. And back to the ASMR channel.
Maybe we should have called this if we known. It was like, why are you putting sandpaper to that bass? Yeah, I tried that and just took all paint off.
So for anybody that's joining, right now I'm wet sanding a scratch out of a polyurethane finish. The reason that I'm doing something like this is because poly is a super thick finish. Like there are layers and layers of this finish all the way down until you get to the actual stain that's on this wood.
Yeah, there's a reason I think most of the people switch to using poly on guitars. I think probably cost and just it's a little bit more forgiving than nitro.
Yeah, it's so forgiving. So if you mess it up in the factory, it's super easy to repair.
And I assume it's also just cheaper and easier to apply than nitro.
Yeah.
Because I guess you have to spray nitro, right?
Yeah, it's far less delicate.
And I get, do they dip poly or do they spray poly?
I don't know, I'm not a finish guy.
Danny, do they strip?
Yeah.
Do they spray poly?
Danny?
Or,
We know you're listening.
no, I'm probably knowing Danny. He's like hawking birdhouses and looking, like he's saying before. He's like looking at all the food vendors and like, man, why didn't I why didn't I just do roasted nuts or kettle corn?
Yeah.
That's what he was complaining about last week.
I still haven't seen one of his birdhouses.
Oh, yeah, they're cool.
I would expect nothing less.
Yeah, it's a fun like niche business that he got into.
He got into or
Yeah.
Let's see. We got a comment.
Yeah.
I like vintage, if it is vintage. Gibson Custom Shop doing cracks on a 2025. Paul not gonna make play better, but a flawless guitar with shine. Make you polish it, love it, care for it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people do like the mimic relic jobs. They take like usually like an air duster, like a compressed air can. They'll flip it upside down so you get like super cold air flowing out of it. So they'll freeze the nitro finish that's on top. It happens a lot on gold top guitars because people like the oxidized crack look across the front. So they'll freeze the finish and then take a hair dryer and then go right back over it. So it like really stresses the finish by like alternating between temperatures like that. Which is why you should also keep your guitars in cases.
Doesn't that also like get like more of like a spider webby kind of thing when you're using the compressed air?
Yeah, well, when you're using the compressed air, it's just hard to control it, so it's hard to make it look like genuine, like lacquer
Natural.
checking.
Yeah.
But the guys at Murphy's lab over at Gibson, they really know what they're doing when they're
Yeah.
making like a vintage job. Like
They are kind of the gold standard for relics.
for relic jobs, definitely. Like I had like an R9 Les Paul next to like a legitimate like 59, and just trying to like compare them back to back, it's really difficult.
I think the only thing they you can't replicate is just the funk of that old of a guitar though,
Yeah.
because they all just have like a weird kind of just, I don't know, just a living.
And also, it's hard to find one that's like as perfectly. How do I put this? Like you could perfectly remake one of the Murphy's lap guitars, but some of those like real vintage Gibsons just have like that certain character, like that mojo, that funk.
Yeah.
Or they just have like the most random relics. Like you'll get scratches in places that you never knew you could scratch on a guitar.
Well, there was this one they did a video on it. It was this, I think, this Irish musician, and like he got a Les Paul, but he's a left-handed dude, so he flipped a right-handed Les Paul and played it left-handed. Because
That's
it's not like
crazy,
you
yeah.
could get that many Les Pauls in
No.
the UK back then. So it has like the weirdest wherever because it's flipped. So it's like where you normally see it's like it's on the top bout of the like Les Pauls and like the bottom where all the pickhead and stuff.
Yeah, and if you were Irish back then, you weren't going to the UK to buy anything.
Well, I think it was Irish or definitely from the United Kingdom somewhere. I think that guitar ended up with Gibson. I think the president of Gibson, Caesar, like bought it or something.
Oh, nice.
If I'm remembering correctly.
All right, so now we kind of got it down to a really consistent mount across the board. What I would do then is I would get like some really fine like kind of buffing compound, and that would help kind of heat up and like reset all of this this polyurethane that's on the back. It would make it kind of shiny smooth again. And the great part about this is that if you end up messing it up and you realize that you missed a spot, you would just go back, do this process again, take it back to the buffing wheel, and repeat your steps. But that is how you can remove some small dings on your polyurethane finish.
No. I think we only got a couple more minutes left. So any questions for us? Now is the time, else you got to wait a week. You don't want to ask like guitar repair questions to the boys on the couch tomorrow. No, you want to ask us.
Us. Because we're cool about it.
Smash the likes.
Smash the likes.
That's what Johnny said.
Yeah.
What?
That's what Johnny said.
Yeah, smash the likes.
Smash
Smash the
the like button.
subscribe. Recommend us to friends.
I don't even know if this thing plays all that
Subscribe to our Patreon. These are our affiliate links. AKA it's just our website. Oh god, I thought you were gonna play Tool for a second. Oh
well.
god.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
The second that somebody calls you out for almost playing a meme, you have to go into it.
I was waiting for you to start playing a stereo.
Oh, it's in drop D.
Oh.
Close.
Close.
All right.
No questions.
All right. Well, I think you're gonna have to catch us next week. And more questions. Tomorrow is the boys on the couch, and then we'll start a whole new week of Palin streaming. Thank you for the privilege of your time. Thank you, Ryan.
All right, thank you guys.
Thank you, Jordan. Any final thoughts from y'all?
Nope, guitars are cool.
All right,
Yep.
Jordan, kill the feed.